everyone, and welcome back to the channel for another episode of the Summer Series on the Hoops Crew Media Network. My name is Ben Reeve, and I'm joined, as always, by the man, the myth, the legend himself, Mr. Paul James.
What's up?
Well, it's another hot week, Paul, and I haven't done another wash, and I said I wasn't going to do that, but I did, and I'm still hot. Kiri to your left. Welcome, Kiri.
Good evening, Ben. Good evening, Paul.
One of us must do the washing at some stage. Now, tonight's episode of Summer Series, we're going to talk about representative footy. I love a bit of representative footy. We haven't had much for a while now. So we're going to talk a bit about State of Origin footy, international rules. Goodness me, when's the last time we had an international rules game? And probably something that's going to happen in a few weeks' time, actually. The Aboriginal All-Stars is due to kick off. I don't know exactly when. Paul, again, if you can help me on the keyboard there, that would be really, really helpful. But if this is your first time joining us, welcome. We are a predominantly Geelong-based YouTube channel, but we do like to talk a little bit about the AFL issues and topics in the off-season. But let's get started with the first one. Kiri, I've thrown you under the bus here because we've just changed the topics at the last minute. So, Kiri, definitely throwing you under the bus. You're first up. State of Origin footy, the Big V versus the scum from South Australia. Now, if you haven't seen Kiri before, he is a South Australian man. Do you hate the Big V? What do you think about South? The question more generally is State of Origin footy. What do you think about it?
I mean, look, I think the greatest thing Victoria ever invented was the Geelong Football Club and Cardinia Park. Anything else could go on the bin. So sorry, boys. But look, I'm all for State of Origin. I think we haven't had it for nearly 30 years now. I think. Why not? Absolutely do it. I think we did like a charity match like for the bushfires, I think about 4 or 5 years ago. I think have it like in the middle of the season. Have it like in the middle of the season, like they do with the NRL and all of that. Because we got some great talent. You got your Nick Dacos's, you got your Lockie Neals and all of that. But from a Geelong perspective, the South Australian connection as well. Like you got your Tyson Stengels and your Brad Closes and all of that. We got a few SA draftees as well, and I'd love to see it where the red jumper as well. But I'm absolutely for State of Origin. The NRL does it really well. It's one of the top sports events of the Australian calendar year as well. And I could say why not? Let's bring it back.
You have to admit that the jumper's ugly. Our Big V, it's the most beautiful thing in football, but the South Australian jumper, it looks like someone vomited on a white Guernsey. It's disgusting. At least the WA one, it's like, it's red and it's got a black swan on it.
It slaps, not going to lie. I like the NT one as well, yeah.
What about the Allies? Have you seen that one? The old Allies one? Was that the big M? No, sorry, the M&M blue one, Paul.
You mean the Carlton M&M blue?
Paul, what do you reckon? Is there a chance we'll see it again? Not the M&M blue, the State of Origin.
I know, yeah. I don't know. I really kind of. I would love to see it. If I just get totally personal, I'd love to see it come back because it's a very entertaining spectacle. But you've got so many health departments at all different clubs. You've got PR people, you've got coaches, you've got all sorts of people that are riding every single bump, every single movement. And if you have an ACL go off in one of these things, God forbid, we'll never see the thing again. We'll never see the initiative again. That said, it's been gone for a while and there wasn't one of those injuries. So I don't really know what it takes to even get it back in the first place. But I would like to see it happen, but in terms of protecting the players and those sort of things, I don't see how it gets up, and I think part of that is because the players can't help themselves. And we've addressed this already. Kiri, you're an NBA fan, a bit like myself and Ben, and we've got the All-Star weekend and everything we see around that, and and specifically the All-Star match, the players are just taking the piss. Most of the time, it's as lacking in physical contact as you could possibly get, and so it means that the players come away. I can't even think of the last time there was an injury, and certainly not one of any genuine substance. So they do it very well. I just think we've got some competitive bastards that can't help themselves, and that we see that occur with the EJ Witten game, for example, where some of the more recently retired players can't help themselves, and they'll try and launch at 60 meters. Jimmy Bartell, we're talking about you. We love you, but you took it a bit too serious when you were out there last. I think the competitive edge kicks in, and that's fine. But I feel like there's going to be too many people who've got a stake in this thing that are going to freak out over the potential of what could happen.
I think the biggest challenge is figuring out when to play it. It's not the biggest. It's a significant challenge figuring out when do you actually do this thing. I think, Kira, you said maybe middle of the season. The other option is before the season starts, but I feel like we're not really. We just want to see our own team at that point, I think. End of the season, everyone's already sort of moved on. We've had the grand final. None of those grand final players are probably going to make up a third of the game in terms of players being represented. They're going to be cooked. There's nothing. They've got nothing left to give. And you imagine the Sydney players wanting to rock up the next week after getting smashed in a grand final again. They don't want to know about football for the next 6 months. They won't know about it. The only way to really do it is probably somewhere between quarter way through and 3/4. Well, not even 3/4. Probably quarter way through the season to halfway through. Do it. You can't do it too late. I know they did in the past. They sort of had a couple of weeks throughout the year where they played State of Origin games. That's never going to happen again. I don't think they're going to play. If they ever bring it back, it'll never be a once a year thing. It'll just be as a one-off, like a once every 10-year kind of anniversary. 160. How many years is the AFL now? 170 or something like that. 180. That kind of thing. Some kind of anniversary game. I don't even think it would be every 4 years. I think that's probably the only way you're going to see it. The players have got one opportunity to play the game in their career. Most players don't play over 2 decades, so you've got one opportunity to play it. That's probably the only way you're going to want to do it. The AFL would really have to give some thought about how they'd fixture up the competition that particular season that they do it. I don't know how you. Like I said, I don't know how you do it. Do you really want to have a bye the week after that? Players will be potentially who didn't get picked for that game having 2 weeks off. Just so that the players that played have got a week to recover from that game. Again, I don't think that's going to work either. Look, I'd love to see it. The thing, Kira, you mentioned the most recent game was at the bushfire game. I remember that game mostly because there was a lot of Geelong players represented. I think even Stokesy was playing in that game.
Yeah,
Stokes. Yeah, he was. Yeah.
One huge name that never got to play it was Gary Ablett Jr. And that breaks my heart to this day that we just didn't get to see him in the Big V, unfortunately. But we did see Jonathan Brown and Juddy and all those guys in the same team, and that was great. But when was that game? Was that 10 years ago now? I just don't see it happening anytime soon. As much as I'd love it to happen. So anyway, all right. Let me just do a quick shout out for our sponsor of the Hoops Crew, Cyril Cook Florists.
The Hoops Crew Media Network is proudly sponsored by Cyril Cook Florist, established in Geelong since 1915. Visit their website at www.cyrilcookflorist.com.au. That's Cook with an E. Give them a call on 035 222 2244 or mention the Hoops Crew to get yourself 20% off your next in-store purchase when you visit them at Shop 12, 11 Leather Street in Breakwater.
That's right, 20% off in-store, Leather Street, Breakwater. Don't forget, by the time this episode goes up, it's nearly Valentine's Day, so I'm sure you've forgotten to get something for your loved one, so it's a perfect opportunity to get down there and get some flowers for a loved one. All right, next one of representative footy is international rules. Now, what's the first thing you think about when you think about international rules?
Somehow the Irish are beating us overall.
Oh, okay. On points. So point split.
Games won and all that sort of thing. But I know beyond that, the first thing that springs to mind, and I'm sure the AFL doesn't like this, and I guess the GAA, the Gaelic Association.
Yep.
I think of Australian players beating up on some weedy Irishmen.
Johnson.
There's been a few of those sort of scenarios over the years, which I think is maybe dulled the influence and the importance of it. We haven't seen one of these since 2017. And currently the Irish have won two more matches than us in the overall scheme of things. But look, I'd like to see it come back for similar sorts of reasons as State of Origin stuff. Like it's a good fun distraction. It's a point of difference. It's a really unique, quirky thing that overlaps two similar-ish sports. But again, I think there's stakeholders in this time involving a whole other country that just don't want to see it get up for a multitude of different reasons, to protect the players, to protect the little Irishmen that might get hurt, etc., etc. Sorry to anyone who's Irish.
Hello to all the Irish. A week doesn't go by, Paul, where you don't offend someone. So thank you for keeping up.
What I can. Form. It's called clickbait, everyone.
Yeah, like that. All those the biffo that we saw probably did a bit of damage to the game, didn't it? Well,
Barry Hall.
I thought it was that Brisbane Lions player Johnson. Chris
Johnson. Yeah.
It was Chris Johnson.
Everyone was throwing down. It was WWE WrestleMania, wasn't it? What do you think, Kerry? Did you see any of those games back in the day, or I mean, did you like what you saw, or was like, what's going on? What's with this thing? Yeah, what are your thoughts on it?
No, it's I enjoyed it. I do remember the 2017 series. Yeah, I thought it was a really cool sport. They actually came to Adelaide.
I was going to say, it's Adelaide Oval for one of them.
Yeah, it was Adelaide. I think they went to Perth, like the old
main stadium.
Oval. I think they went there as well.
We didn't get a Victorian game that year, I think. Yeah, because I remember that.
I think they came. Yeah,
because it was Adelaide and WA were the two biggest supporters of it. So
yeah. But no, I think it's great. I think it's great. When they come to Australia, it's great for the Irish community here in Australia as well. And I think it was a frequent thing. Like I swear, like every couple of years, we go to Ireland, and they come to Australia and stuff like that. And I just think just what happened. Like I think we're going to do it. Like, but then COVID hit and that got cancelled. Like personally, I'd like to see it come back. Let's trial it again, but also not only in the men's but in the women's competition as well. Hey, I'd love to see Ashley Maloney take the absolute piss for the Irish as well. As much as it hurts for me to say as an Australian as well, and you got your Kate Kennys and your Anna Rose Kennedys as well. I think that'd be a great spectacle to watch as well. I think, but yeah, let's bring it back for the men's, but let's also do a women's game for the international series as well. I'm all for that too.
I reckon we get absolutely smashed in the women's game.
Pulverised in the women's. It's going to take a bit of time, I think.
They'd have to play with an oval ball to make it fair, I think. Even though they'd still smash us. Maloney can kick them from the pocket and do anything she wants.
Easily. Does it for breakfast,
Oh, she's having a laugh, that one. I went to a game years ago. It would have, I don't know, it might have been, was it at the MCG? Maybe it was. It could have been Marvel.
So I guess for context, we haven't had one here in Victoria since 2011. It was at Marvel.
There you go. That's probably the one I went to, I think.
And in the G in 2008.
Buckley wouldn't have been playing. I did go to one where Nathan Buckley played. I only remember him for some reason. I remember Boomer Harvey from North Melbourne was really good in those games. Right.
Wow.
The Bucks retired in 2007 once we knocked him out of the prelim, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So Justin Fletcher was pretty handy as the goalkeeper. And
you're talking 2005 or 2003, Ben?
Oh, geez. For any of our younger viewers, who are these people you're talking about? But look, I'd love to see it again. I really would. But again, you don't think you're going to see it very often, do you? It won't be that annual thing. The players loved it. Tell you who did love it, Brendan Favola. He loved it so much he just couldn't stop hugging bartenders. He used to get him in headlock. Did he get sent home after that? These guys can't help themselves. It's like, I'm an elite athlete, but I'm going to get pissed and I'm going to throw punches against some other country. We really want this game to succeed, but we're just going to do everything we can to kill it. But whatever.
What I didn't realize actually is that it was scheduled to occur in Ireland in 2020. It was just that COVID killed that.
Yeah, I
with a
remember
return
that.
then planned for Australia in 2022. So as of the end of 2019, they were planning on it. So I think it's just a matter of how do they get it up and running again. It does now with that little bit of context. Thanks Wikipedia. Maybe it's not as far off the agenda as perhaps we thought.
That's what I think. Because
in October 2024, it was announced the AFL and GA officials were exploring the return of the International Rules Series. So only a few months ago, they're looking at it.
Interesting. Do you know what I'd love to see? Love to see all the former Geelong Falcon players. Now they're playing in the AFL. Just get the best of those TAC Cup players or NAB Cup, whatever they're called these days, playing against it. We had the great. We got Dangerfield. Yeah, post. Yeah. I'd love to see something like that. That never happened, but who's the best team? Oakley Chargers or something? Sandringham Dragons are probably the best team these days.
Yeah.
Players running around in the AFL, but wouldn't that be great? Seeing a game like that. Anyway, I digress a little bit. Kiri, I'm going to take you to the next one. Now, has this happened before, the Aboriginal All-Stars game? Have we seen one of these in the past? I feel like we have.
We have, yeah.
We are due to see another one very soon.
February 15th.
A few Geelong players might have been. Got a mosquito. I think I caught him.
Tyson Stengel and Lawson Humphreys, if I could recall correctly. So that is definitely happening. And honestly, I think I should see it as this should be a sort of an annual thing, like in the pre-season, for example, because I know the NRL, they do like a sort of Indigenous All-Star game against like the Maoris as well. Do a once-off sort of thing. I think it's very important, because you've got the NAIDOC week and all of that in the NAIDOC round as well. We should definitely do it for the Indigenous players as well. I'm absolutely all for it. Do an annual thing in the pre-season. Yeah.
Do you, at the moment they're playing Fremantle, so they're playing another team that's not really, I guess, representative of anyone other than an AFL club. Is that the way to do it? Do you think? Is it an all-star team of a mix of other clubs potentially? Is it potentially two Aboriginal teams? I don't know how many players are running around.
That feels like the
international, the world versus
right?
Aboriginal. Like your Irish players and your Americans and all this sort of stuff versus the Aboriginal All-Stars, that kind of thing.
Can you imagine some international team getting clowned out by the Indigenous team? It'll be amazing to see. I'm all for it. But also, cool. I don't think it'd be a great spectacle. I think like the NRL point, I think works pretty well because obviously New Zealand is an NRL playing country as well, and so it kind of works. Here less so because and this cycles back to other episodes. It's kind of Australia is the AFL country, and that's kind of it. So it's weird that they're playing against Fremantle, especially when you've got Indigenous players that represent Freo, but they can no longer represent Freo for this because they're representing their own teams. I would love to see the idea, and especially because I feel like we have more than enough high-quality Indigenous players across the entire competition that surely, and I don't know the numbers, I haven't run the numbers, but surely there is enough, 46, I guess.
Would have thought so.
To represent two full teams with, you're probably not going to actually have a sub, so 44. And you could just have the two teams go head to head. You could almost bake some State of Origin style stuff. I don't know, that's a weird one because, of course, you've got all their own countries within. So that's probably, I don't know how you kind of massage that in such a way that you can kind of, you're creating a divide, which is not really the intention of the event in the first place. So yeah, I don't know how they could do that, but divide them into two teams anyway. Hell, go NBA All-Star thing and go, here's your pool of players.
Captain's
Here's
pick.
your two captains.
Yeah, do the captain. Yeah, that's a good one, Paul.
Pick him.
To appoint a captain and pick your team.
Oh, that'll be fun. I'd love to.
Who would be our two captains, our two leaders representing the Indigenous community in football these days? Who?
Lawson
I
Humphries.
feel like
surely.
there's
Lawson
obviously some
Humphries.
gun youth coming through
Every year.
But, and so he fits in the gun youth. But I'm trying to think of like who would be the leaders, who would be the
elder
captains
statesmen.
of the two teams.
of the Aboriginal AFL
And-
community.
I honestly can't think of who that would be. Like I'm looking at a photo now.
I'm trying to think too.
It's on the AFL website that goes with the announcement of the whole thing, and like I can see
Charlie Cameron.
we got so in the photo you got Jaden Dave, you got Tyson Stengel, Jai Simpkin, who's certainly experienced and could fit the bill. Zach Williams, but he'll probably just do a knee beforehand, so won't play. Carl Amon, obviously lots of experience, would be a potential
Bobby
captain
Hill.
there. Ryan Mansell's quite new, probably not. Cozzy Pickett has got a few years in the thing now. I don't know if necessarily leadership's his go normally, but this is a bit different. Obviously, at some point in the future, Brad Hill's there again, experienced. Maybe you're talking about
Stephen
Carl
May.
Amon and Brad Hill. Stephen May's obviously Jamara Ugle-Hagan, Bobby Hill. They're just a few that were in this promotional photo. But you did mention Stephen May. He'd be a fantastic choice. But
Shai
once you've got your captains sorted out, schoolyard pick style would be amazing.
Yeah.
Jason Horn-Francis as well, the Hornet.
Jason Horn-Francis,
True.
yes.
Yep.
No, he's got leadership in him, definitely.
Aspirations.
Yeah.
Former Geelong bloke Tim Kelly.
His first leadership initiative will be tossing out the ice baths. As captain, I do declare
Guys, I
the
think
ice bath is gone.
we're definitely onto something here. I think. Look, I don't know. I probably need to sort of ask someone from the Aboriginal community what they think about this. But I'd love to see two Aboriginal teams play each other. I think that'd be a fantastic spectacle, and you can just see how many opportunities that'll sort of open up in terms of what it would look like and where it could be played and all that sort of stuff. Where is this game against Freo being played? Is this in Northern Territory or
Hang on, let me
WA
quickly
somewhere?
scroll back. It's at Optus Stadium, so yeah, it's in WA.
Okay.
I just think also, and you're right, like we're kind of shooting from the hip here and not necessarily actually getting the voice of Indigenous Australians involved in this, whereas of course they are heavily involved in this. But my just first thought is in terms of representing the Indigenous community, you are getting more people involved by having two Indigenous teams going head to head than one AFL team or just some other team that's not representing an Indigenous community. And then the Indigenous, like you can double up and can really lean into this fully. I think it'd be great. I wonder if the reason why they're playing against an AFL team is an optical one in the sense of, or I don't even know what I'm looking for here. You can tell again, long Christmas and New Year, but they've maybe done their research here and gone, well, if we position them against an AFL club, whoever that club happens to be, well, we're going to get more people potentially attending because they've got an investment in Fremantle or they've got an investment in Geelong or they've got an investment in whoever the club. We're going to get those supporters as well as those who want to be there to support and engage, as opposed to we're just creating two Indigenous teams for this thing. No one's got an investment in either one outside of we want to support the occasion. And that's, I don't know, it might be their way to try and bolster numbers.
Yeah,
potentially. I'm spitballing ideas here.
No.
I really do like the idea of having two Indigenous clubs, but I wonder if there's some sort of dollars and cents thing on the side there that has potentially led to an Indigenous team versus a non-Indigenous one.
Kiri, do we have any Greek players in the AFL at the moment? Is that your background?
Yes.
Greek?
Yeah. Right? I think we got. I know in Port Adelaide we've got his Tom Anastasopoulos.
Yep.
I'm such a dickhead. Georgie Prasparkas, you know.
Oh, Prez. The Prez.
Yeah.
The Prez.
Yeah. But historically, you know, you've had bloody what's the Carlton guy? I forgot his name.
So no.
Kuda.
No, not. Yeah,
Kuda.
Anthony Koutafidis, you know, but I don't know anyone in the bloody in the AFL men's.
Ange Christou.
Ange Christou, yeah, he's great.
Ange Christou's Greek as well. Yeah.
Former Geelong cat Paul Kouliariotis. Remember 2004,
that's
2006?
Right. Yep. 40
Yeah,
touches.
Mitch Georgiades is Greek.
Mitch Georgiades as well.
Georgiades.
But yeah, it's
Luke Beveridge comes from a Greek mum.
yes,
really?
he does. Yes,
Thank you,
yes, he does
Wikipedia.
as well.
Dominating it tonight.
Yeah.
And we all know about Sam Constas, but
Wrong sport.
wrong sport, but might need to work on his.
Josh Rochelli's mum is Greek heritage. Sorry, I didn't realize this was two columns
really?
of names here.
He was Italian.
Elijah Sardis.
Sardis, yep.
There you go.
Obviously, it wasn't that long ago that we had David Zaharakis.
Yeah.
Be a hero. Be a hero. That was a great one, wasn't it? Gone too soon, that fella. Gone. Out of the game.
Let's get the framing right.
Sorry, Zaharakis family.
Streets won't forget.
Streets won't forget. All right, Paul. Thank you for that. That's been good. Now, was that the last one for tonight? I think it was. I could keep talking about this. I think we're on a winner there without consulting with the Aboriginal community. I think we're on a winner with that one. 2 Aboriginal teams playing each other. But let's get an international All Stars game somehow. I think we need to get that. And let's get a game in Greece as well, in Athens. Let's because we'll get we'll get you over there. Sure. We'll get a GoFundMe going so we from the Hoops crew and we can get you over there. Watch that season opener, the Cats versus I don't know, someone. Who would we play? I don't know. Someone with green in them, probably Tassie, Geelong, and
you have Giannis Antetokounmpo to present the game ball.
North Melbourne would have to play in that game, wouldn't they? The Cats and North Melbourne would probably be the 2 teams that would play in that game. The blue and the white.
It's close enough to the Greek flag as well.
Close enough, good enough. Well, that's another episode in the can for the summer series on the Hoops crew. Thanks to everyone who's been watching. A big thanks to yourself, Paul. Thanks as always. And to Kiri. Thank you again. 3rd time now. Well done.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone, for watching. Hit that like, share, and subscribe. And we'll see you on the next one. Go Cats.
See you later.
Go, you Catters.